Hey guys, this is Chodaros, and today's tutorial will be on the Karaboudjan bracelet. It was created by Suzanne HB, or on Instagram also known as Crazy Just Might Work. Her lovely son had named this bracelet, and it was actually named after the book. Now it was done as a movie by Steven Spielberg, Tintin. And it is named after the smuggler's ship. So, bravo on the name, and it is an exceptional design. Unbelievable. Once again, Suzanne did it. So you can see this is one of those ones that are just straight lined, perfect, no errors, but this is using the limited edition bands. So of course I had to see what I could do to make it a little bit more feminine. So I came up with this one. So it is exactly the same design, except I put these flower beads in the place where you can see the hole where these white bands are, which worked out perfectly. The blue bands that you see, those would be the hot pink bands, and then let's see, the yellow one here is the silk yellow, the blue is limited edition, and I also used that is metallic white. So this one is primarily done in silicone bands, so you can see it looks just as good. At the end of this tutorial, I am going to show how to add beads to the design, but first let's just go ahead and get started on the original. So I want to use some good contrasting colors so we can see how to pick up stitches. It's fairly easy once you get started. I put all these colors out in the middle of the screen. That's not, I don't like that. Okay, so there's probably 3 or 4 different techniques that you can use to start or to loom the center part, and it's a little bit different than Suzanne's normal designs, as this one is not a single chain. It is a single chain with a, let's say, an inverted slipknot stitch. So I'm going to use 2 colors going up the center. So in this one I just use plain white, but I'm going to do it in white and black. And then these cross bands in the hot pink, my color for that will be hot pink as well. So we want to start out as a cap band, and then we just want to slide a band on top. So I'm going to show you like the original way that we have done this next stitch, and then I'm going to show you a couple variations, and then you guys can pick what's comfortable to you. So we want to take our next band, which this will be your wrap band, and you just want to pull it through that first loop on your hook, and then you want to recapture that loop, and then we want to take this pink band and pull it up and over our hook, and then attach the right side of that pink band. Okay? I'll show you several more times, but we'll just go ahead and do the other side. So you want to turn it over. So you want to take your, I'm just going to reference my colors. I take my pink band through this first loop, and then I recapture that loop, and then take the left part, or the part away from my hook, take that up and over my hook, so it's down, and then I pull over and close it up. So that's what you should have, and we're going to do that all the way up until the end. Okay, so I'm going to show you that way one more time, and then there's two other ways, but we're still going to be building the bracelet as we go along. So when you're finished and you have 4 loops on your hook, you can pull your next center chain color band through all of your loops and close it up. And so these 2 loops, this is when we start that inverted slip knot. So we pull it through the first loop, recapture that loop, take this end of our band and push it up and over our hook, and then reattach like that. So then we want to do the same on the other side. Pull it through the first loop, recapture that first loop, take this part of your band and push it up and over your hook, and then close it up with the end of your band. Okay, so that's what you should have. Alright, so I'm going to switch my colors, alternating black and white. So I'm going to pull my next center chain color band all the way through 4 loops and close it up. So here's another way you can do it, and one of the best things about Suzanne to me, as she's a huge mentor, always has been since I started looming, is that she does not like to turn her hook. And so she has taught me a lot about how to do different looming techniques without turning your hook. So that's going to be one we're going to do right now. So we're going to do that stitch, but we're going to do it on this band right here, or this loop. So in order to do that, we pull it through both loops, okay? And you want to let go, and you want to pull this pink band through the first loop like that. Once it's through, you want to take your hook and capture it like that, and then we're going to pull it over that white band and then under the white band and back up like that, and that is the exact same that we're looking for, that same stitch. And this one came undone, so I just have to do that. So you do want to keep a hold of it on the right side there. Okay, so by doing what we just did there, that minimized us having to turn our hook. So now we can do this one the regular way, like that. So I'll do that one more time. So you pull that band through all your loops and close it up. And so then we're going to pull this band through both loops. You want to pull it through just enough so it's out of this loop, and then you want to pinch this right loop, in my case the black one, so it doesn't fall apart. So then we're taking our hook and we're pushing it, and then we're going in between, capturing that black band, and then we're just simply closing it up. So that is just an alternate way. The first way that I showed you, that's the traditional way. So any way that works for you is what you need to do. So then this one we just recapture and pull this one up and over. Alright, okay. So our third and final way, as another option that you can do, is the leaf stitch that Suzanne has created some time ago. So I believe it was the Lush Foliage bracelet that we first did that on, but the way I do it, and the way she had taught me in the beginning, was you overlap your bands and then we go and weave it through. But one thing I wanted to tell you, whatever band is in the back that you're holding, like in my case, I'm holding this band in the back and then the front band is underneath it. Whatever band I hold back here will be the one that I pull down, okay? So in this instance, the band that you want to end up on your hook, I'm going to go reference my colors. I want the pink one to be looped up here. So if I want the pink one on my hook, I have to hold the white one in the back. Okay? So I'm just going to go through and go behind, or in front, and then behind the white band, and then behind the pink, and we're just weaving it like that. So my hand is holding that white band because that's the one I want to pull down, thus making the pink one up on my hook, and that's what we want. So we need to take and we need to pull all 4 of these loops through like this, and you want to pull it over that hump right there so you have a piece of that white showing. Okay, so what we're going to do, zoom in, is you're going to keep your hand holding on to the right side of this band, this white band. Now we need to take our hook out of that right side loop, bring it up on top of the loop, and then grab it from that end. And then repeat that same process we've been doing, which is taking it under that white band and pushing it up through, and then we're closing it up. So all we did there was we minimized having to pull our single chain band through and then having to add this. So it's a lot easier to do it that way. And then with your right side, you just do it normally, recapturing, pushing the band over, closing it up. Okay, so I hope I didn't confuse you. My intention was just to show you the different ways, and then you pick what you're most comfortable with. So I'll do a few more, and I'm going to speed up. If you need assistance, you can always rewind. So I prefer to do the slip stitch. So I pull it through everything, push all the bands down. Whoops. I have one. I think that one's not the right one. There we go. All right, so now that I got this pulled over, I take my hook out and push it down, under, push it through, and then recapture the band on the right. And then just the regular way on the band that's closest, or the loop that's closest to your hook. So this, what we're doing right now, is the center of our bracelet, and as I mentioned, it's a little bit different than what we're used to seeing from Suzanne, as most of her designs start out with just a plain single chain. But I love this bracelet. I thought I got my bands a little bit mixed up there. All right, let's do a couple more, and then you guys can go off and finish. So remember, if you're doing a leaf stitch, the band that you're holding is the one that's going to get pulled down. Once you get the hang of it, it can be done fairly quickly. And Suzanne has mentioned that you might want to make it a tad, like a couple centimeters larger than your wrist when you're putting the border on, as it may shrink up a tad. Mine didn't. Both of them that I did, neither one of them had shrunk up, but please keep that in mind, as that was the direction that she had given. Okay, so let's go ahead. Look, I have to go back and fix that. So it looks exactly the same on both sides. So let's go ahead and finish this up. You can see the little areas there. We'll finish this up. So you want to make this as long as your wrist, a little bit longer maybe, and we'll meet back to clip the end and start the border. Alright, so you should now be completed with the center part, and it should look similar to this. And now it's time to add the border. So the border here is done in this LE blue, and it does have two sides. So this is the signature side here, and then this is the back. And how you'll know, as you can see that slip knot that's going down on both sides. So that means that when we do stitch this up, we have to be careful on the back, or when we stitch up the second side, that we do it correctly. So just to close it up, we just need to add one band through all 4 loops, and then we want to add a clip of some sort just to hold it in place like that. Okay, so we are going to work on the side of the cap band. So if you can tell that this bracelet is flat, and then it's raised up on the sides. Okay, so this would be like the front. If you're holding it, this is the flat part. But what we're going to be looming is through the sides. And you see the sides, they kind of remind me of my cattle lily bracelet. Okay, so you have like each one of these little shapes. It's like a V with like a band going through. So that's how we need to hold our bracelet while we're looming it. Okay? So that way it's the cap band where the hole is facing you. It's not to the side, it's facing you like that. And we're going to put our hook through the band above the cap band, right there. Okay, so I'm going to use this LE Gold. So we want to pull a band through and recapture. Okay, so the goal on how we're going to loom this is we are always going to be pulling one side of this V, and then after we pull the V, we'll pull one side of our single chain. I'm going to reference it in color. So even though my hook is facing this way and I'm left-handed, I need to turn my hook, and I want to take it and wrap it because I want to go and capture through the back left of that V, that band right there. Okay, once you have that on your hook, we're going to take it under our first loop, just our first loop. Okay, so then you have two loops on your hook, and then you're going to take your other band and you're going to pull it through and close it up. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're holding it on its side like this. And so after we go through a V, we then go up, and on the opposite side we want to grab our single chain band. Okay, and after you put that single chain band on your hook, you just simply pull another band through all three loops. And that's it. That's all we're going to be doing. So naturally, this is how the bracelet wants to fall, but that is the front. See how the cap band's on its side? So when you're done, you have to make sure that you turn it. And so every time you're going to loom through that V shape, you're going to have to bring your hook around. See how it's going around like that? So we're going to go up to the next V. So there we just did that single chain on the right, the black one. So the left V is that band right there. So I'm going to take my hook and I want to go behind it and pick it up. So the V always gets put under one loop on your hook. That's only the V. And then we just pull a band through both of those loops. And making sure that it is straight again. The next one we do is our single chain band. So it's always these straight bands. In my case, at this time it's white, and I'm going to do the opposite side of the V. So I just push my hook through. Now this time, when you're pulling this band, you're going from the center out. And then we're just pulling this one through all three loops. And then closing it up. Okay? So again, turning it back to its side. And I'm always pulling up on it so I can get a good look. So then the next V in line, take your hook and you want to go behind the left side of that V and grab that band and pull it under the first loop on your hook, and then pull another band through. And then we want to go in sequence to grab the next band. So I'm pulling on it so I can see my single chain, and I'm pulling the opposite side, and then a band through all three loops, like that. Okay, so again, putting it on its side, I just did that single chain, so I'm going to pull it over and capture the left side of that V and pull it under my first loop and pull a band through. Now I want to capture the opposite side of my single chain from the V and then pull a band through. Okay, so like I said, when you pull your bands through, it's wanting to put you to the face front of your bracelet. So you always got to make sure you're turning it to have those little V's on the side facing you. So give it a little pull and we can see our next V in line. going in from the back underneath the first loop, and pulling a band through. Turn it back on its side. The next single chain in line, opposite side, going in from the front and pulling a band through all three. Okay, so I'm going to speed it up a little so you can see right here we're looming the front of the bracelet. If you turn it over, you'll notice all of those slip knots. So let me speed it up a little bit, and then we're going to go off on our own. Okay, I'll do one more. And there we have it. So we can go ahead and go on our own and finish. So that's what it should look like. Like I said, that is the front. And we turn it over. And then, as I mentioned, I'm going to pull just so you can see. I'll make those slip knots closer to the center. You can see how that is the back. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this all the way up into the top, and I'll meet you up there at the clip. And if you need any more instruction, feel free to rewind. Alright, so, whoops, that came off my hook. I am ready to do my last, almost last, I have 2 more stitches left. So I need to next go through my left side of my V. And then last, I'm going to actually still go through the band that's on my clip. So we're always taking the opposite side, so it'll be that side. Like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to undo my clip, and then I'm going to take that band off the clip. It's captured by what we just did. Then I'm just going to slide the back one over the front. and just put this in my clip like that for now. Okay, so this is what you should have so far. Again, that's the front and then the back. Alright, so I am really good at, I know I mentioned it a million times, of stitching up the wrong side. When we have two different sides, I get it messed up. But I'm not going to this time because I figured out a new way. Alright, so typically we would just turn it around and then loom it down this time, right? Well, that to me is more difficult. So what I'm going to do is come down to this cap band and turn it. And you see how your back of the bracelet is facing you, so you can see. I try to pull all the slip knots so you can see. So all of the slip knots are in front, which means it's the back. So we're going to go ahead and stick our hook through that band above your cap band like we did last time, and place a band through. Okay, so, but we're going to grab this differently. We're going to grab it different than we did the last time. So I want to go to the right of that V and grab that side of it. And I'm pulling it, I'm going in from the outside. And then we pull the, let me see here. Oops. And then we pull the first loop on our hook on top, like that, right? Just like before, pull a band through. Okay, so when we do that, it creates that slip knot right there. All right, so our next step is to grab one of the single chain bands. So I'm going to grab the left one, and I'm going to take it, and my hook's going to go from the inside out. Okay? And then pull your band through. We'll do a couple and then you can look and see that it's matching up. Alright, so again we want to do our V. So we want to bring our hook around, and I'm going to grab the right side of my V this time. And then pull it under my loop. Now remember, if you're right-handed, it's the exact same steps, except you're just pulling everything the opposite side. So when you pull that band over, that's what creates that slip knot. And that's how you'll know that you're doing it correctly. Okay, we'll do a couple more. But obviously the name of the game is to make sure that you are matching the other side. So if you're an advanced loomer, you're already going to know how to loom it to make sure that your sides are matching. Okay, do one more. So let's see what we're getting, kind of result. All right, we are matching. That is the back. And then that is the gorgeous front. Look how pretty, such a pretty bracelet. I love it. Okay, so let's finish. And then we shall return for close up in the end. All right, I am at the end where my last stitch I'm going to put through my clip. Like that. And I'm going to take my clip off, but I'm just going to put back on my hook that right side. Okay. And then this can go like that. So you can either leave it like this, or I prefer to add, I'm going to add a white one because the end of the other side is black. Okay, and there we have it. Now we add our C-clip. All right, so there is the completed design. So that is the front. And there's just a couple areas that you might want to play around with. So if we look in the center, you can see like mine are black, white, but I pull them apart, make sure that those two are in together. And then these, see how they're making that shape? Like this one, pull down a little bit. If you're meticulous, just pointing that out. And so this is what it looks like off our hook. But we turn it over to the back side where we have our slip knots. If you take, and it depends on what kind of bands you used. If you used LE, you can pull these out. I like to pull on these loops on the outside, and it sometimes pushes that slip knot closer and then makes the border look more lacy. But if you're using opaques or jellies or of that sort, you got to be careful, because once you pull it, it will stay that way and knot up, and you don't want to pull it too hard. So just a suggestion. You want it to look lacier like that. So let's look on this side. On the center, oh, everything looks good. Alrighty, so this will conclude the tutorial. You can stick around if you choose, and I will show you how to add bling onto it. So these are the 3 bracelets that I've done. I love this one here. I love all of them. So great job to Suzanne. Crazy Just Might Work. Thank you for putting out yet another great design. Super awesome and super simple. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you hashtag your renditions on Instagram to Crazy Just Might Work and myself. We'd love to see what you guys come up with. See you next time. Okay, so if you're interested in adding the bling, like this one here, I should have had an example. Here's a little example that I have so far. Okay, so I just, for example, this one here is just added to the center of the stitch on every 3rd stitch because of how big that bead is. This one, I put it on every band, if that makes sense. Okay, and I'm going to add to this one. So this is just if you choose to add a bead to the center. Alright, so when you're at this point, then we would typically just add a plain band through the center, right? But instead, you can add a beaded band. So then you have to take off the first two, and then you add your bead, and then you slide that underneath. I'm trying to hold too much. This bead band goes underneath these two bands here on our hook. Okay, and then you come back and you want to grab the other two bands that close up our bracelet, put those back on, and then you want to put your beaded band at the end. And now we take these two bands and pull them up and over our hook, and that's what places that bead in the center. Okay, and then just like before, when you have these two plain bands, you would add your leaf stitch or your reversed slip knot. Like that. But I think what I did wrong was, instead of these two, this middle band should have probably been gray. Oops. But that's okay. So I'll do one more. So you would just take, I hold my bead in my hand, and then I take off the first two bands. And that's only because my bead is so big. Technically, you could just slide it through and push the right side over the bead, but I find it easier this way. Like that. Okay. So then we'll close this up. And it's the same exact as the original when it comes to adding the bands to the border. You're going to turn it to its side, and you still have your V's, you know? So it's the same concept. You're going to put your hook in there, pull your band through, and then pull one side of your V over the loop, another band, and then the opposite from the V, we grab the single chain. So exactly the same, just with a bead in the center. So it's very easy to add a bead, and it looks super pretty. Okay, excuse me. I'll quickly show you. I had it together and then I took it apart. Another one that I did, so this would be, these are little rondelle spacers. So say you wanted to add them to your other bands, not in the center. Alright, and then we come back down to our cap band area. Okay, so I'm going to pull this color, that one through there. So our first one to go through will be this one here. And then we pull that up and over. And then if you want, anywhere you feel like adding this band with a, with your spacer on it, you can add it there. And then our next step is to grab the chain. There it is. Which way did I grab? Okay. Or you could have added it here, but we can try both. So this is adding beads or spacers to the border is what my intention is to show you. Okay, so you can see that it's a spacer bead and it will have that effect. So then we go back over to here, push this band over, and then this is where I added it last time, but I'm not going to add it this way. I'm going to add it to my next one just to see what that one looks like. So this band goes through all 3 loops like that. So it's on the outside, so then all we'd have to do is pull it through all the bands, and you can have it shown in any place that you want. So it can be in between, or you can pull it to the outside. It's up to you. I think it would look nice in between for sure. Alright, I've got one more. And I'm going to kind of pull it through this band. It's going to be weird, but it's going to go through this band here. And then we grab our beaded band. Okay, so we're pulling that beaded band through all 3 loops, and then you can take it, well, let's attach it first. Okay, so now that bead sits on the inside. You can have it like that, or I think it looks better either there or in between your chain or your link. So you like those 2 right there? I think that looks nice. So, okay, I just wanted to show, I know blinging is not something that everybody does, and some people wish they could. If you want to add a special something to a bracelet, don't forget that a triple cap band will act as a embellish just as bling would. It may not be as fancy, but at least it's adding something of your own to the design. So again, thank you for joining me, and let me bring my samples out. I hope that my blingers, my blinger fans, I hope you guys will add something really awesome to your bracelets. I'd love to see it. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.